Hello Addicts, I'm Michael.
And I'm Josh.
And today we're doing another review of Danmachi, Volume 8.
So good.
It is a really good volume, and it's a little bit different from the other volumes in a sense, because it's mainly a collection of short stories. You have probably like three or four different arcs, you would say, in this book?
Yeah, I think that's right off the top of my head.
Yeah,
we're going to be talking about
I don't know. Yeah, so. We'll be talking about them. It kind of depends how you break it out, but it's almost one per chapter, pretty much. And there's an overarching story that you get in the book, but
straight to.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the plot and the characters, since it's kind of a little different.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to be looking down a little bit because I got notes here to keep everything straight, so apologize if I'm not looking at you scrolling on. But we get basically a look at everybody, a part of Hestia Familia, starting off with Mikado. We get to look at some more background of when she was younger, kind of reminiscing, filling in the gaps between, her friendship with Hiroheim, and then also how she came across
Tatsumaki?
Tatsumaki?
That's not right. I'm pretty sure that's the girl from One Punch.
Yeah, probably. I don't
know.
So
it's like...
but you know who I'm talking about. Her Far Eastern god. So,
yes.
And we kind of get a peer into her feelings towards him. We get a fun interaction where they're coming up to his celebration of when he returned to Earth, and there's a little bit of drama that goes on there. So, there's just little bits and pieces. I will say, this volume, most of the themes throughout these stories has to deal with kind of more on the romance side. Maybe not so much romance, but just love in general.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
For instance, like the next chapter is about Lily. We get to see that she's focusing on her bottled up feelings towards Belle in terms of, trying to decide if it's admiration or, actual love or stuff like that. But we also get some interaction between Loki Familia and her/Belle, which
reveals her feelings probably more than you would if that situation didn't happen.
Yeah. And we get to get some closure for anybody that's really interested in seeing who Belle sides for, or who's still on the table. Like, it deals with that. So there's some things that they kind of clear the air with. The next one talks about Wealth. Again, gives him more of background. Yeah, I agree. My boy Wealth. He is, you kind of peer into his family history. Also, since we know that he has the basically only ability left in his family with the Crozo magic, you get to see how that came to be, and then also how important it is to him and how it impacts. You also get to see his interaction. Not so much interaction. They do have a little bit of interaction, but more just his thoughts and feelings towards hepatitis. I can't say the right way. So
we joke around.
God,
the blacksmith god. Yeah, her nickname is hepatitis because that's the only word in English that's close to it.
I
think it's like hepatitis. I don't. No one cares. It's the god that has one eye. Blacksmith.
Yeah. Now, after this chapter, we kind of take a break and see side characters that I don't necessarily know if we'd classify them as important. I mean, they're still interesting, but they're probably not as interesting as the other chapters, which is Aina, which is, his help at the guild, his advisor, and we get to see that she has some unwanted attention that Belle helps her with. And then the next chapter would be talking about Seer, which is the lady that works at the... I can't remember the name of it, but it's the bar that it was... something mistress, something mistress.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I don't know.
Iron Mistress, I don't remember. But anyway, so she's the one that works for him, and if I remember right, she's also the one that gave him the medallion for the war game.
Yes, the medallion and the how he got magic.
Right?
No,
or the magic. Okay,
how he got magic. Yeah, right.
Because I know the one that gave him the art plate.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you get to see a little bit. You don't get to see a retelling of her background. You just get hints of her background, but you also get to see a few secrets that she has that we didn't know about her, which kind of does a great job of giving her in depth. The last chapter is kind of a chapter in its own, deals with its own story, but it connects with the overall overarching story that's been built up. So, like, the prologue deals with Ares attacking Ario. The middle of the book with Wealth, which he has a connection to the overarching story, which we won't spoil here. And then the last chapter deals with Hestia's kind of like the over thing that she's had since the beginning, which is her devotion to her first follower, Belle. But we also get to see the conclusion of the overarching story with Ares, which is pretty interesting to say the least.
Yeah,
because I think it's the first and only time since that we've seen action outside of the city. So that's interesting. But anyway, I think after that pretty much covers everything that happened in the book. But we're gonna go into some of our favorite aspects of it or parts. So, what do you think, Michael?
This one, I don't want to steal all your points, but Welf is really good in this one. His motivation, is awesome. Okay, so Belle's a true hero, and you get to see that like as the volumes progress, especially in the next arc that we'll eventually cover. But Welf's motivation of like what he wants to do as far as how he wants to progress as a blacksmith, it's like, oh my goodness, that's so great. You're such a hero.
I love his. He's like, oh, I have this, but it doesn't matter because I'm not wanting to do it that way. You know, he's like, I want to do it my own way. It's like, oh, you're so good.
It's pretty amazing. This is the first book in a while where Belle doesn't face like an overwhelming force as far as enemies. So that's kind of, it is a slower book, I would say. I wouldn't say that in a bad way. I would just say it's world building is what kind of it's focused on. I would say, if I could say that one of my favorite moments, it'd probably be a chase scene towards the end, and then just like Bella gets to interact outside of the city where he has interaction with different people, and he gets to kind of get different perspectives. And then I think the overarching theme, which is kind of an interesting one. The overarching theme is it okay to fall in love with a goddess?
Yeah.
Or is it...
Or a god.
Or a god, yeah.
Can't exclude the other one.
Yeah, because that's actually in this one.
Yeah.
Is it okay to do that, or is it like just admiration? And, you know, if you're a hero, can you fall in love with your god or goddess?
Yeah, it's like, what role are you limited to?
Because there's like probably 4 of the stories kind of link back to that.
Yeah,
when you actually
which is brilliant because, you know, they've built it up until this point, but they haven't really made it a main focus. But they're able to tell their own stories, but capitalize on them and kind of give you a little bit of conclusion or some results to all this build-up. For me, I think it was really surprising reading this because Michael he read it a little bit before I did, and he told me that they're focused around stories, like individual story arcs with other characters. And so going into that, I was like, I'm not sure how excited it is because sometimes that doesn't play off really well. But in this, they did a really good job. I thought they did. I mean, they focus on characters. Again, you know, they have some characters that are a little bit less interesting, but they make up for that interest because they attribute to ground laying and later on in the story. But when they do focus on characters that you really care about, you get to, I don't know, it just brings them more alive. Like, you get to see a little bit more in depth, and it's a good way to just not only flesh out those characters, but make you like them even more. I thought they did a really good job with balancing too, because, you know, the story is all about Belle. You know, I mean, they have these other characters, but the main focus is Belle, and I think they did a really good job putting him in the story, but not making him the main focus. It's like when you watch like a crossover episode of like your 2 favorite shows, and you see like the main character of one show and this other story. So he's kind of like that, where yes, he's playing a main focus in this episode, but he's not the attention. He's not the center of the story going on, which is a nice way to change up from the other volumes. But yeah, that was basically all of the ones that I liked. As far as like certain moments, I don't know. There's I guess there's definitely some moments with in the family towards the beginning, like when the discussion of the topic that Michael brought up of is it all right to be with a god other than, you know, being like a child, a servant, you know? It would be treating them more as a partner on, like, intimately. So, and there's a really funny scene that plays out. I just love the way it is. So that's, like, one of my favorite ones, obviously with the interactions with Will and Lilith. Like, I think right now those are the ones that are probably the most interesting stories out of this, so I did enjoy that. But, yeah, there's a ton. There's just a ton going on in this.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to even summarize. Like, when we were talking about what the plot is, we're like, well, we could say nothing or say, like, we talked for 50 minutes if we wanted to about the plot. But
yeah, because it's so much harder, because since, you can pick and choose certain things when you're talking about an overarching story, but since these are they each have a beginning, middle, end in each chapter, it's kind of hard to summarize. But.
So I guess we should get to our rating. You want to go first on that? What's your rating for this one?
Yeah, it's going to be the same as the last book I had. It's a worth it, a higher tier worth it. It's better to be consistent than, it dipping all of a sudden. And I thought that was especially high because since it does change the format so much, it kind of feels like a spin-off, but it's not. But it retains the same level of quality that the other ones did. And I still think it's worth it. It's worth reading. It's not worth skipping over because, there's some things that if you skip this, technically it's not going to hurt you if you go on to the next one, but I think it's really worth it just to get the more depth in the characters, especially if you really like the side characters more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's worth it. I think it's a higher tier worth it. As someone who's read some of the side stories, I've watched the spin-off show. You don't realize how awesome Belle is and how when I first started watching the show, I was like, I only care about Belle. None of you other people matter. Just give me some Belle, please. But I think this has just enough Belle that I'm happy with, him still being in the story and learning more about other characters. So yeah, I would definitely say worth it. I would say usually short story novel volumes you can skip because they're just nothing happens. But so many characters progress in this one that I definitely think it's a high tier worth it, and I would recommend picking it up and not skipping it and going to Volume 9 because Volume 9. It's a big arc, so it's good to have calm before the storm. Yeah,
because there's definitely a lot of emotion in the next one. So if you want a feel good one, this is
this is the one.
This is the one. It's like when they released, I can't remember even what the last one was, Black Panther before Infinity War. They're like, oh yeah, here's a nice summer movie, and then it's just like, no,
everyone dies. No spoilers, but. Everyone dies.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, this will be all that we have for this video. If you want to check out other stuff, please go down to the description. We will have all of the links to our accounts there. But as always, stay tuned because we will have more volumes for you. Anyway, guys, later, Addicts.
See ya.